All right. Welcome back to episode 5 of After Hours, the Pileggi podcast. I'm Sam Pileggi. We got my business partner, John Pileggi, on the line, and we have Devin Erickson on today. He is the founder of Runna Media. Very pumped to kind of get into, what your business does, where you're seeing marketing going with AI in the next, few years and kind of take it as we go. Devin, so do you want to introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background, start there?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, one, for having me on the podcast today. It's, see you guys from beyond on LinkedIn and seeing what you guys are doing, and it's awesome. So I just want to say thank you, and let's start there. So my
Awesome.
name is Devin Erickson. I'm the founder of Runna Media. We are a Chicago media production company. I don't like to say agency because that's so, broad, and it kind of like
Yeah.
you want to be, so we're a media production company, and I have a lot of contractors that work for me. And basically, we just create content that actually converts. I know that sounds very, I would just say that, but it actually does in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I feel like we have like long lasting clients
Yeah.
with Running Media. But that's kind of a little bit background. We started about December 2020, this year actually. We kind of did
Okay.
a little rebrand from a solopreneur into an actual, company that people can be hired at and like kind of build, right?
Hmm.
So that's where Running Media kind of came into that.
Fantastic. You said based in Chicago, a little background there. I met Devin through this guy named Sagar that we both know, who I met at a AI networking event, and Devin and I grabbed coffee a couple weeks ago and kind of hit it off since then. But really, really cool business that he's got going on. Um, you know, what were you doing before Run Up Media? You said you launched in December 2023.
Yeah, so I launched in it was my bad. I think it was 2020. Gosh, the numbers fly by. I've been doing this. So I was at a marketing company from 2019 out of high school to 2025. It was good. Learned the scopes. It was a growing business. I got to be a part of like kind of building it, which was
Hmm.
awesome. It's still in business, but dude, I just knew I just didn't fit inside the box of like, I don't know, leadership or just being told what to do, or I just kind of wanted to perform my own way, and that led me to like leaving the company, or I would like to say um I got terminated actually, which not a lot of people know. I got terminated from the company, and just bad partnership. People move on, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got forced to start my own business.
Hmm.
And I knew that I wanted to do marketing because one, I have a videographer and photographer background. I've been doing it for 10 plus years, and really understanding like they were more of a social media like a social media marketing company versus like an actual media production company that's doing commercials. It's way different than like two different marketing brains here.
Hmm.
Um, and Running Media leans a little bit more towards the storytelling. But anyways, getting back to this, I was a once that happened, I was like, okay, I got to start my own thing. Balls to the wall. Let's get it
Hmm.
going. I started as a solopreneur, so I started with my name off of Instagram. So I launched my business, and it was under Devin from Chicago because that was my Instagram name.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
for the first like 9 months, really did really good. And then I got to the point where I was like, how do I scale this to like operator level to an actual media production company? And I was like, people aren't going to work for Devin from Chicago. Like that's just not a good company name. So I had to rebrand, and I'd spent a lot of time rebranding with the help of AI and utilizing it to then launch Runna Media, January 2026, and then have a batch full of clients already. We're just switching that over to the Runna Media side, but they get a whole new service, right? They get a whole new platform because it wasn't just like the Runna Media redesign where that came in wasn't just like a logo change in that. Like I built a client portal for that new brand. I built like
Hmm.
the things out that actually make a real business. That's what I spent some time doing, and then I launched it, and it's been good ever since.
Awesome. I'm curious, Devin, when you were first starting out, you mentioned that you used your social media, your personal name. How did you get your first couple clients, and how did you build up those case studies and that reputation
Hmm.
over the last year?
Oh man. Like really what it went down to, like I have clients that 2019 that stuck with me from my like actual like Devin himself having like, 1099 clients to where they're just paying me like $500. I mean, they have stuck with me since and I'm still having them. Obviously prices are more. Um, but I would say the question, rephrase that real fast.
How'd you get your first initial clients when you were starting off? What was your lead generation strategy?
I don't think you really have a lead gen strategy when you start off. I think it's just like you got to go after it. There is no like certain strategy. I think every founder has that feeling of like, what am I doing and how do I get leads? And the only way to go get leads is like to do and to go and network and to put yourself out there, to start posting, right? There's so many different ways that you can get leads. It just depends on like one, which one are you like noticing that you're really good at and which one converts the most. Like I tell some people like, hey, that are starting off in entrepreneurship and as a founder, I'm like, hey, go to networking events. And they're really good at talking to people. And then they get a couple leads from that. I'm like, okay, well, that's your route. Like, stop trying to cold DM people when what's working is your networking route. So I think for founders, if they're looking to like get their first, couple clients, I think it's like do what you do best. And then just like I'd hate to say 10x, but like go hard in that area and really dominate that area instead of like trying to spread your eggs in 30 different baskets and you're like diluted down to doing something and then you're wondering why you don't have leads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Hmm.
good point. We always talk about just the analysis paralysis. There's so many things that you can be doing, but find a few things that you're good at, stick to those, and as you mentioned, just 10x that output, and you'll see some results.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing too with like new leads, especially as a new business owner or a new founder, like those first couple of leads that come into your business from having zero to now having three, you need to nurture those leads like no other. Like they will be your best representatives of who you are. And like once you do a really good over the heel client, work for them, say, hey, like, we've been doing good work and, we've been really working for you guys and getting good results. Do you have any refers? Okay,
Hmm.
boom. Now you have, three clients, each one of them get referral maybe two or three times. Now your pipeline has gone to 10. So I would say in the beginning with those leads that I started, I really definitely nurtured them and like spent some time just like making sure that they knew that they were being taken care of. And then they were able to go and spread that word for me. And honestly, like my lead gen, it sounds bad, but it's referrals. And it's because we do good work. And
Hmm.
I'm not banking on like I am figuring out a system to get new leads. But referrals is like you just got to ask sometimes. A lot of business owners are scared to ask for help. I think it's okay to ask for help. I very often I'm like, hey, I want to hit quota this month. Like, do you know any, people that might need work? And it's like, well, I just ran into someone that actually needed this. And it's like, if I didn't ask, I would have never got that response. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I don't know if that answered. I was kind of like trying to help younger entrepreneurs or
Yeah,
whoever's watching this, just kind of like a step forward.
I love it.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I mean, that's kind of who we have this podcast built towards, people who are looking to take the leap from their 9 to 5 or maybe just can start an entrepreneurship. Could we like maybe peel back a little bit and get into, when you did just start this thing, like what was the mindset and mentality that took you to where you are today? What did you have to flip on in your head to really, okay, we do need to 10x our output here? Um, Curious, kind of peer into that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was a mixture of things. Um, I think as an entrepreneur, you're just, you're born with this. Just it sounds bad, and it's kind of like good and bad on how you look at it. We kind of have like this can't turn it off. It's just like we always could be doing more. And in the beginning, I always had that. And like prior to this experience, I drained my bank account to -$3 and had to move back in with my parents after a business startup didn't work, failed.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a complete failure. And I looked at myself and I was like, I'm never going to let myself get to this point again. And I'm never going to let my future family get to this point again. So there was a different mentality going into business. There was like no problem that I couldn't solve. It was more of how long is this problem going to take to solve so I can get on and move forward. So having that mindset of nothing is going to stop me from, really building this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And truly in the beginning, like I love to tell like people, motivation is good, but it's going to be discipline that gets you forward. And I know that sounds so cliche, like the motivation aspect, but yeah, it's like motivation will get your day going, but it's not what's going to be ending it. It's like discipline and sitting down and doing that hard startup stuff. Because here's the thing, to peel back, and all founders, I don't care who you are, they know the feeling. And even if you've exited a business and then gone back into it, the startup phase, the founding phase is like a honeymoon phase. Like you're so excited, you're building the brand, you're building the fonts, you're like, oh my gosh, you're seeing your vision come to life. And then from there, the dust settles, the honeymoon, phase kicks off, and now you're sitting there with a pipeline that has nothing in it. You're sitting with overhead expenses now because you're starting this business, and then you're like, what do I do? And there
Mm-hmm.
is no blueprint to actually like 0 to, maybe there is or whatever with courses, but like you were the one building this thing from the ground up. So I think it also goes down to like what you want to achieve. I really think that I can achieve a lot more than I'm doing. And I think always having that expectation of it's not bad, but you could always be doing more, in the sense of like what you're trying to build, not at the expense of like relationships and whatnot. That's a fine line. But I think in the beginning as a founder, you really have to like, you can't just dip your toes in this. Like you have to go all in. You either go all in or you don't. Like there is no, in the beginning, especially as a founder, there is no balance. There is no balance. As you grow older and mature into your business organization, you start delegating and getting more. That's where it doesn't get easier, it just gets more manageable because you have those things in place.
Mm-hmm.
But if that kind of answers, I just never wanted to go back to being literally broke and nothing to my name. And that has pushed me to get to where I am today.
That was awesome.
With other personal factors too. My dad was a business owner, worked a lot, like through his company, still around. My mom runs it now. But he passed in 2022 in December on a work trip, and he was just an entrepreneur that just couldn't shut it off. Like he was someone that was like 16 hours a day at the business, like getting to it, working 7 days a week. I mean, and very successful. But I mean, I don't want a successful business if I'm not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor in building this.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of like stuff that I took from him and his lesson as well, like watching my dad as the CEO run his business, and like he's where I want to be at. Like I want to have a lean team, but I want to be at the margins and the revenue that he's at. But with that comes more problems. So it's having a fine line of like entrepreneurship, have it become your life, and then like the things in your life fill it in as well. But entrepreneurship is not the main thing, if that makes sense. My Sagar, actually, my mentor, he actually said a good thing for entrepreneurs, especially with like dealing with relationships and problems within the business, is like, hey, you have basically, imagine you have a glass ball and you have a plastic ball. Like know which ones you can drop and pick up. And basically your glass ball is like your very personal, your relationships, the things that are really important. Like you can't let those drop, right? Because they'll crack if you drop them. But down to the analogy of the plastic ball, like some of those might be client fires that are 7 p.m. and you're like already off the work and you're just like, it can drop. Like, I don't need to get to that right now, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Family, loved ones, things like that. Also, sorry to hear about your dad. I did not know that at all. It has to have
No,
burned
it's okay.
yeah, kind of, that has to drive you
It-
a lot, definitely.
oh yeah, it's definitely, I feel like, as much, dude, it sounds so bad, but as much as it's like a competitive advantage. Like the the things that like I've gone through with that, and like he's being where I want to be, but not in the position of like, to the extent of killing myself, where it's like you're shutting down your body because you're so stressed out with your business. But like, I want to build it right. Like, I want to build a business right. I want to do it right. I don't want to be a slave to business. That's
Hmm.
like something I think founders have to really understand, is like, you don't want to be a slave to your business. Like, as much as you're in founder mode and you're going to be for the first a year, 2 years, to really bootstrap this thing and kick it off the ground and get to a point to where you can like not be a slave to the business and take a couple of days off and know that it's going to be afloat, is like, that's what you should be aiming for. In that sense, I don't think you should be a slave to your business. There's no point in building it if that's how it's going to be.
How do you set some of those boundaries in your business of still being in that founder mode, but being like, all right, I need to set up some time for friends and family?
I need to go touch grass
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
um, that's a great question, and I think it's hard. I think that's the number one thing entrepreneurs have the biggest problem with, is juggling their personal life and their business life. Um, it's hard to say that there's balance. I'd like to say integration between both.
Hmm.
um, I mean, for me, it's like something that I struggle with really, really big. Knowing when to not turn it off, but knowing when to put it on pause, and like, it can come back. I can do this tomorrow. But like recently, it's been really awesome. Like, I feel like I've been doing a good job with it because I have AI to help me with a lot of that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
so I can buy my time back, and it's just like, depending on what do I want to do with it. Do I want to spend it on business time now that I have more, or do I want to, do personal, go touch grass, go upstairs and hang with the wife, or talk to my brother, talk to my sister, whatever it may be, or go catch a coffee, chat.
Hmm.
Um, it's also, I think the biggest thing is just knowing where your priorities lie, and knowing like the goal you have at hand, I guess, really helps like determine on what you're doing. And opportunity cost. I think that's a huge thing that people undermine, is like, not every opportunity is good. And I think a lot of people are scared of the word, um, using the word no, because
Hmm.
they think it's like, oh, well, that could have led me to my next opportunity. And you just really have to weigh it. I did this with my buddy the other day, because he was like, I need to go to more networking events. And I had to sit him down. And I was like, you don't. Because the networking events that you go to, like the last, 15 networking events, how many leads did you actually get? And he was so busy going to the networking events thinking that he was generating clients. And I was like, I had to stop him. I was like, dude, you've gotten maybe one out of
Hmm.
going to 15 networking events. I was like, we gotta cut this down because it's not leading you anywhere. So I think, I, yeah, that's what I would say, is like, just knowing your priorities, and setting them very early on is going to be helpful, because it's more of a guiding light when you're stuck in business and you don't know where to go. It's kind of like, okay, these are my lighthouses that I can turn
Hmm.
back to and say, okay, I need to go this way, or I need to be focusing on this, versus just like figuring out what to do.
Yeah.
And it is a mixture of figuring out to do a little bit as you go.
Speaking of like not being a slave to your business, trying to become an actual business owner, not an employee of your own company. When it came to, you said you subcontract some of
Yeah.
your work, things like that. When it came down to making that decision, you know, what what was the first task that you hired off, the first position that you hired off for people out there that are looking to get started? Like, what was the biggest constraint for you that you wanted to get filled to buy back your time? To, whether that's
Yeah.
increase the business or add a new tech stack somewhere
Yeah,
along the lines?
yeah,
What was
yeah.
that?
No, I think what it was for me was, one, I'm huge into AI, and I'm huge into the, the operational manager like role, especially as, the founder of the business. I always want to be thinking the visionary and getting out of more of the service mode as the editor and as the videographer, or maybe just the editor. I want to get out of that position so then I can really, again, focus on the business and work on the business instead of in it. So those positions have been, service of editors, service of videographers and photographers going out for me while I can sit here at the desk. I
Mm-hmm.
truly do prefer, and also going out and networking. Like, I'm really good at networking. So that's one thing as well that kind of buys back my time. But I think, I think like the starting, if you're looking to start delegation, you should do a time audit of your day. Any
Mm-hmm.
founders like that are in this position right now, grab a notebook and grab a pen, and then just start your day and log everything that you do. I know it's gonna suck. Like, do it every 15 minutes of like, okay, 15 minutes gone by. What am I doing? What did I just get done? And then do that through your whole day, and you'll know where your time is most dedicated and your tasks that you're doing over and over and over. And then you'll be able to make a conscious decision of like, okay, I need to delegate this. Like, if this isn't worth my X amount of dollars that I'm working, then I'll just delegate it off. And that's something that I've done pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
And managing is like a way different job. Like, making sure that I can be here while my service is being done out in the field, and making sure that it's getting done to the extent that, one, I would do, but two, also that we're actually delivering the service to the client in the way that it needs to be delivered and like up to par. So being the point of contact is also another thing that I'm basically the middleman between the client and connecting the, photographer, videographer, the editor, whoever I do. So that's been a little bit interesting with kind of like the managing role filling into this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
That's hilarious that you brought up the the 15
yeah,
minutes. John, do you get your timer?
the timer.
We did that
Yeah.
same exact thing too. Literally set for 15 minutes and mark out your day. We did that right when we started the business. And what's our biggest time suck? For us, a lot of the time in the beginning, especially, was like building websites or doing SEO and blog posts. So that was the first,
Yeah.
role that we hired off. That's awesome that you brought that up, though. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's something that's really good, and it can like easily point out like where your time is going. And honestly, I had to stop. Like, it's good to do it every once in a while when you're at certain stages within business, because it changes like as your business changes.
Hmm.
Um like, sometimes you might be doing things that you're like, why am I even doing this? Like, one, what's helped me is like with AI and everything, it's just like, do this, see what I can automate. Do this, okay, see what I can automate and get back. And then now it's to the point to where I can really pick and choose like what things I want to delegate and where I'm at. I don't think I'm at the point to where we could sub out editing, and I don't think we'll ever be at a point to where we're subbing out like AI editing or photo editing, like anything like that. I just don't. I think it's inauthentic, and I don't think it's true to its tone. So I think there still needs to be some like human in touch with
Hmm.
the AI. But yeah, you could learn a lot from that 15-minute method, and you'll honestly realize like, dude, what am I doing? Like, what does this day look like? Like, what is the maximum output? Because they say in when you get to like really, really high level skills, like $5 to $10 million in revenue, um, that you're really only doing like 3 tasks a day as a COO or COO, and as a founder. Like, you just focus on 3 things, because you go down and you're like, I don't have time for all of this stuff, and I'll just delegate it out.
Do you have any best
So
practices in going from that solopreneur to then having a team and being that middleman between your clients and your team?
dude, be patient. Be patient. A lot of the time, like as founders and CEOs, we love our business more than anyone else. We will tender our business like no other person will, because it's ours and we love it. So trying, one, being understanding that like replicating that into another person that you might hire is going to be difficult, and it might not happen to get them to that extent. Maybe, and they're a really good hire and they like are beyond, your extent. That's a really great hire, I feel like. To believe in the vision more than you and to see it where it's going. I think it's like one, setting expectations. Like, I think setting expectations is huge. Being kind of a little, not stern, but being a little direct, I don't think is a bad thing. I think it kind of like sets establishing rules on, what's to be expected, especially if there's compensation behind it. I almost treat it like, hey, here's what I expect of you. Here, what can you expect of me? And let's make this mutual. Let's make this work. Like, at the end of the day, we both want to get somewhere. We both have a vision, and we're both trying to make it. So let's see how we can work this out. And not, I think it's easy to be stingy with money in the beginning. Like how you should not just go overboard with overhead, but I think it's important to, figure out your margins with them as well and see what's a good margin with them, having them on the team, because that's what it comes down to. Is like, once you get to a point where you're hiring and whatnot, it really becomes a marginal game to figuring out how can I optimize, but also make them feel appreciated, but also getting the good output that I feel like I deserve for the compensation that I'm paying, whatnot. I would say just being patient and learning, because like everyone, I thought this way. Like, everyone thinks that they're good at managing and becoming a manager and like talking to people and overdoing that. If you haven't done it yet, it's like, it's hard to say that you can, especially from like an entrepreneurial level, because you care about your business and you want them to care about it just as much. And it's like, you don't want to get like, oh, because they didn't do this, they don't care about my business. And then it's like that, now there's bad turmoil. Like, you just want to be patient with that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, that's it's a tough line to balance there.
Oh yeah, because it's like you're borderline like expectations versus like like, oh, I trust you to do this, and I want you to tender care it as much as like I would, right? And sometimes that's hard, because your systems have to be dialed, in the way that you tell someone something has, like, you have to make sure that they understand it the way that they understand it and not how you understand it. Two, making sure that they actually get the concept and the vision of where they're going, because if they don't know where they're going, then it's going to be hard to do the job.
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act, because one, no one, as we're all founders here, no one's gonna love our business as much as we do, and we're paying them at the end of the day too, so to kind of love the business. So you have to kind of keep that in mind, I think. But also, you were talking about like margins a little bit, and how that affects hiring, going into these margins. How are you utilizing AI in your day-to-day workflow to help increase that gap between hiring someone and, oh, maybe I could use AI to streamline this operation or this efficiency? What are you doing today, and where do you see the next, like, I would say, 5 years going? Maybe we can tone it down and do the next 12 months, with some of this stuff.
So, great question. And I think my approach to it is completely different from what people would expect. People expect, like, one, higher margins, cut people, have AI, so we don't need those people, which results to higher margins, and then we're just profiting, right? And I want to do the opposite. I want to use AI to get higher margins, to then hire more people, train them on how to use AI, and then 5x that at the rate of so much. I think a lot of people right now is like, oh, fire people, replace with AI, and then your margins are going to go up. But what happens if I can get a human in place to utilize that AI? That feels way better than a stance than just like, oh, we're going to replace it with AI. Now, there are some fine lines with me using like AI. Like, I want to get to the point to where, my employees, my future employees, we can come around and say like, hey, AI is to be used in this business as we proceed forward, because it's going to it's going to make the job fun. I think there's a lot of like bad turmoil, and I think that there's a lot of skepticism with AI, and I get it. It's if you haven't used AI, or if you're on a chatbot, like I get it if you don't fully understand, right? I would be scared too if I didn't fully understand something and then have news headlines like, "Oh, you're going to get replaced by AI." Like I completely get that.
Hmm.
But I think that there's also a curiosity that you have to, as you're as responsible as you as a founder, you should take a little deep dive in and to see what's actually possible before you start believing like, oh, it's going to take my job. It's going to be, replace me. And I think that there are, and we've already been seeing it, the replacements of job with AI. And I think the people that are going to be replaced are the ones not embracing it. I think the people
Hmm.
that are I've heard this so many times. You're going to be replaced. You're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI. And for me, that is a huge, 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 um, stance. Okay, well, I'm not going to get replaced by AI. I'm going to get replaced by someone. So if I can go into the future status, like of my employees knowing how to utilize AI, again, going back to that 10x, like we could be so productive and streamline so many different things while
Hmm.
still obtaining the quality of what the client wants and what we provide.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic what you just said there. John and I have had multiple conversations where it's like, all right, let's utilize AI to help streamline the workflows of our current employees. Like, we don't want to fire anyone and replace you with AI. We want to implement systems and workflows that can 10x your output and make you 10 times more efficient, make the business 10 times better, ultimately scale the business that way. That's the way
Yeah.
we're looking at it.
Yeah. If I haven't opened my employees' eyes or my contractors' eyes to AI, then I'm doing something wrong, because AI is the future, and if I'm not showing them the future and showing them how to utilize it, then I'm doing my job wrong as a founder. Especially
Hmm.
where I know the AI uh world is going. I mean, at such a rapid rate, and from 12 months from now, gosh, I can't even imagine where we're going to be at.
It's gonna be
Um,
crazy.
on that note, though, especially as the marketing, especially as the video, photos, as all these AI tools are getting developed, I am not. I know there are some people that are like, oh, you're gonna get replaced, and like this is like I can do this here. I think the being authentic is going to hold the barrier instead of just like anyone can do it, because if anyone can do it, then it doesn't mean anything. And like if anyone can get those results just like that, then there's no sauce to it. There's no special thing. There's no storytelling. Like there is nothing to it. And people sniff that out now, and it's like, oh well, if AI did that, like don't care. And then someone produces something in video, and you're like, wow, that was amazing. It's a different look when you know it's coming from just like AI versus, oh, it took someone blood, sweat, and tears to do that. Like, and they actually had a full system. So
Mhm.
that's where I see marketing going. I think the marketers that understand where AI is at, like, and really, really, really understand where AI is at, those are I like to call them the marketing killers. Like, those guys know what's up. Those people know what's up. They know how to utilize, they know how to scale really fast and get a lot of stuff done in the media world that it used to be mundane, that now will allow them to grow really, really fast. And that's where I've kind of found myself in that territory.
In that category, what do you see being the things that will be commoditized in a sense in marketing? And what do you think will be the things that marketers should focus on in the next, say, 12 months?
Dude, anything AI. Like, I think marketers, if you're a marketer, um focus on utilizing AI, because I understand um the point of like getting this, and if you want to design it a certain way, like AI just makes the vision so much easier to build. And if I can
Mhm.
streamline that time, especially there's some things that I don't know how to do, and like AI just now allows me to have the capability to do, and now I'm able to like like a Claude edition feature just came out like maybe 3 days ago. Solved 5 of my business problems. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like now it allows me to offer
Was it
another.
Claude Design? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. And now
crazy.
it allows me to um one, streamline certain projects that I can now have higher margins on because I can offer that type of product
Hmm.
and work. I mean, the future is just like it's just making my job easier. And I don't think that there's going to be. I think the biggest thing with AI is just like knowing you as a founder and knowing your business is going to be huge because
Hmm.
like I'd like to say like I don't care about the like the actual revenue right now. I want attention currency because that's gonna last with AI. Like attention currency will last. People
Hmm.
will know you, they will like you, and they will trust you with what you were saying with having attention currency, whether being up to date with AI or knowing your stuff and utilizing AI to like get ahead of sense.
Yeah. I got a question. Since you're in, media production, that's like the main scope of work for Runna Media, on-site shoots, things like that. What's your take on, some of these node-based AI models? Like I think Free Pick's a good example of one where it's like you can do all this UGC content by connecting it to Higgsfield, and you can make ads like that. Like, yes, there's a ton of AI slop out there, but there's also some really cool tools you can use to, maybe have an add-on to your business. Do you do any of that
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now?
I think it's really good. I think we're gonna be start testing that in maybe like 3 to 6 months, maybe even sooner.
Okay.
If because here's the thing, I want to deliver to the client the best of my capabilities and at the speed that we
Hmm.
can because we deliver very fast, and I like to keep it that way. And if a client doesn't have the budget of what some of these, some of our contract influencers, want willing to pay, we're not going to say, hey, no, see you later, we're out of here. But we're gonna hold our integrity and say, okay, like if that's what you can't pay or that service, like, hey, we'll give you the flip side option, and that's to use AI, right? Because now
Yeah.
we're retaining them in our pipeline, and we're saying, hey, it's going to be maybe half this amount, but one, we're still profiting money off of that project. We're still getting a person in the pipeline,
Hmm.
and maybe we can grow with them. But I never want to, as a founder and as a business owner and as a salesman, I never want to leave a person high and dry. Like, I don't want to
No.
leave them stuck with their problem. If I can at least point you in the right direction to a person or to another service of ours, I'm going to do that over than like, hey, good luck. You can't afford us. Bye. I always
Hmm.
think that there's room to grow with that client if you do that. Because one, it's just so nurturing to them. You're like, why would you? You don't need to do this, but okay. So with that question, yes. And I honestly think as videographers and photographers, um, coming from like this background of me, I think you need to embrace AI. One, it's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. It's not leaving. Um, I think it will actually elevate the things that you want to do with editing. And if I can't get a specific B-roll shot at the event, or not even at the event, but like if I needed a specific B-roll shot, um, I'll just use it in Higgsfield. Like
Yeah.
I needed a website background for one of my clients, and we were thinking of how can we do a kind of like a video background for their website.
Hmm.
And I remember that my team went and took photos of his business for like Google, Maps and whatnot. So they had a bunch of locational photos, and I just threw it into Higgsfield, and I, told my team like, hey, take 6 different photos or 7 different photos from the location shoot and just make it a video. And that's what it did. We did really cool transitions through, and the
Yeah.
website video was awesome. And we did that all with photos that we took, you know? So we're just capitalizing, and then we were able to, make that an expense and, put that in, and that's just more profit. So it's just like knowing when to utilize AI is a good thing to have in mind as well when you're doing this stuff. Like certain things should be human only, and then
Hmm.
knowing when to bring AI on and then also knowing when to just like let AI do it by itself. And that's more of like the
Yeah,
automation, all that stuff.
I
Talking
think it's a
about
really cool
some,
take on that.
yeah, that's really cool. Talking on the automations and some of the agentic workflows that AI advancements have brought up in the past couple of months. What are some things that you're implementing in your business on that front?
Mm. Um. Well, one, AI agents, and I know that term is so overused. AI agents now. I mean, I don't know if this is specifically just because I'm in the AI world, but AI agents. I think it really comes down to, like, to boil that word down is just automated workflows and workspaces. Um, when you boil it down, it's how can I take my systems of process, my SOPs, and basically give it to AI and say, hey, can you do this? And can you do it with my brand guideline, my way of thinking, and how I execute this? That's been one thing. Like, I have been able to scale Runna Media at a pretty decent rate with having AI implemented.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say just taking it a step further from like a chat bot using ChatGPT, using Claude, using Gemini, just in your web browser, like taking it out of there and using the agentic features that you're able to do with OpenClaw, Claude
Hmm.
Cowork, Claude Code. There's so many different other ones, that Perplexity that came out, Manus. Um, like, I think as a founder, you should just be, I'll say this lightly, you should be curious with it, with Manus and AI workflows, and seeing what you can do, but don't get caught up in trying to like automate everything in your business. Like, you're still going to need to critically think. You're still going to need to attend certain things. Like, don't
Hmm.
try to automate your business, especially from starting. I think the biggest thing that I've been telling people too, and this will kind of go back into it, is if you don't have leads, you don't need automation. You need marketing. If you have leads, then you need automation. Like, you can't automate zero. So if
Hmm.
you need to get leads, focus on marketing first, because every business, every CEO, every entrepreneur that I talk to is like, I need AI in my business. And I'm like, where are your leads at? And it's like, I I'm trying to get it, it might help, but like, you can't automate zero. So
Hmm.
focus on the, going back to that 15-minute things. That's going to be your guideline of what you need to, like, that's your workspace. Figure out what you can automate within those, and like figure out, what does this actually need my attention or does it not? Like, can I automate this and just have it go through? Um,
Hmm.
that's been a huge thing. On the automation side for my business, um, morning briefing. I mean, that's a pretty common one. Just before my day gets started, 5:30 a.m., I get a message sent to me from my agent of what's my day look like, what do I have to do, some emails I have to get back, what's in the pipeline, some things I need to do next step. Um, it like AI agents really help you on track with like the tasks that you need to do, especially as a business owner. You have like 50 different tasks that you have to do all at the same time. And
Hmm.
this kind of really keeps you like on track to doing those things and completing them all the way through, versus like, oh, I'll get that done tomorrow. And then you
Hmm.
get to it and you're like, oh, I'll get that done tomorrow. And then it just stacks up a month later and you didn't get that task done, where AI agents help you either get that task done or like can get that task done for you.
That's awesome. I think let's take a step back here. So that what you're explaining right now is that the OpenClaw system you have currently running inside of your
Yeah.
business? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the OpenClaw system that I have running within inside my business. I have around 6 agents right now that work for me. Um, people over fluff it. They say 24/7. Like, I have scheduled tasks, so maybe they are working 24/7 in schedules of automations and cron jobs. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm using OpenClaw as my open source kind of AI agent versus like Claude Cowork or anything like that.
Okay. And then just for our viewers, a cron job is basically just like a trigger for tasks to begin.
Yeah, a
Correct?
cron job is basically like a scheduled task, right? If I told someone,
Hmm.
hey, I need you to get this done at 9 a.m. tomorrow, it's the same thing as a cron job. It's just for agents.
Okay, that's awesome. So you have your OpenClaw. I guess, do you have anything you want to speak on before I ask a few questions about it?
Uh, Dude, it's hard to remember what it was like without it, because it's just so powerful. I'll say that.
Hmm. And you run it all locally on Mac
Yeah,
Minis.
I
Um,
run it locally on a Mac Mini. I don't know if I have one right here, but it just comes in this box. It just comes in this box, Mac Mini.
mhm.
Um, and you just set up the OpenClaw on there, and you're able to get it going. And yeah, the it's just interesting because it's it's way different than like communicating with a normal chatbot. It's crazy because you see the
Hmm.
capabilities of like what it's really actually able to do, and you're like, bro. Like sometimes I just feel
It's
like I wonder if it could do this, and then I ask it and it could do it. I'm like, bruh, like that's crazy.
I know, and I mean, yeah, that's really cool. I feel like, just us three being in this space all the time, we hear, what is OpenClaw, first of all? What's the difference between, Claude Cowork or Manus? Like, what's the difference between them? I think I have a good idea in my head, but if you want to kind of explain
Yeah.
that real quick, Devin, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so OpenClaw basically is an open source AI personal assistant able to actually do things, go through your browser, anything that a human can do on a computer, it can do, without a
Hmm.
human being present. Where the different thing with Claude Cowork is, one, obviously it's Claude, that platform. It's not an open source project. It's owned by Anthropic. Claude Cowork, it can utilize your folders. People like to say it's the same thing as OpenClaw, just dressed up a little bit better. It's not. The thing is, like, you don't know where your data is going when you are doing Claude Code or Claude Cowork. You know it's going to Claude and their systems, but you don't know where that data is going, and it has access to your local files in your computers.
Hmm.
Um, so if you trust whatever that, but like for me, I like to own my own data. So anytime that I'm communicating with this agent or all my agents, my data lives on that Mac where I can see it, and it's not going anywhere else. So from a security standpoint and owning my own data, yes, I'd rather have that. Now, if you want something a little bit more streamlined, you could do Claude Cowork, but you do lose some agentic features if you do go to a non-open source or Claude Code or Claude Cowork, anything like that. Where again, OpenClaw is open source, so you configure it any way that you want. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, it seems like comes down to different, customizations and free range
Yes.
of what you
Yeah.
can actually do inside of it. And then would you say the difference between that and Manus is like Manus is maybe more cloud based,
Yeah.
where again
Manus is
you
more.
don't own your data totally.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Especially, I mean, with Manus, what being owned by Meta, like you just got to think about that with your information. And I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. Like I would honestly maybe even check out Perplexity. Like I heard really good things with Perplexity. But also knowing like what does your tech stack look like? Like as a business owner, I might not even push you to OpenClaw. I might push you to Claude Cowork, or I might push you to certain things. It's like not every business should have the same tech stack, and it's because we're different businesses. Like my
Hmm.
business tech stack might look pretty similar to you guys because we do similar things in that sense. But it goes down to like knowing like what is good as well. Like Manus is really good. Perplexity is really good with research, with knowing like Gemini is very good for, note taking and Google Photos and whatnot. So
Hmm.
yeah, I went off on a tangent there, but
No, yeah, that's freaking awesome. I think when people like overall hear OpenClaw, they get scared of security issues, I would say. Like
yeah.
what can you speak on that you've, witnessed personally that's okay, this is safe and secure if you do set it up right. Um,
Hmm.
what is that workflow, I guess, look like for the people out there that are listening to this video? Like, how do you have your systems
There's
communicating to each other? Things like
so
that.
so basically, it's kind of like do your due diligence. I say this to people often, like having OpenClaw, like you need to play that Spider-Man scene before you actually like allow
Yeah.
to use this and to do it, where it's like, hey, with great power comes great responsibility, because you give access to this thing, and it's like you can't mess around with it because it will do the things that you ask it to do. And that's
Hmm.
kind of like we've never experienced this type of technology. um so the security aspect is just like, dude, treat it like it's like an actual an employee. Like you like it remembers things. It's not something to mess around with. You hear these horror stories of like, oh, this got exposed, or this got hacked, or it spent like $21,000. And I'm like, my first question is, did you set guardrails? And you're like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, well, now I know why it spent 21,000. It's just like you can't hire an employee and then just like expect them to run loose in your facility. Like, no, there's guidelines, there's certain parameters that we can do. And most people just don't do their due diligence and set those up in the beginning.
Hmm.
And then it just like they're wondering why it's like running wild, or it's doing certain things. And it's like, well, did you give it rules? Did you give it permissions? Did you give it like grants to certain things? Yeah, I just said you have all my permission. It's like, no, you can't do that.
Oh, why'd
But
my cloud account get hacked? Oh, well, next thing you know, your API keys are all uploaded to GitHub publicly. So, I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's.
It's knowing a little bit, like do your due diligence, maybe watch a couple YouTube videos on the security aspect of it. But it's honestly, it's getting really better. Like as I always configure mine and get it running optimal. They're coming out with updates with OpenClaw like every single day. It's actually, I remember at the start of it when I first downloaded OpenClaw when it first came out, it was like, I'm talking bootstrap technology before OpenAI bought it. First day, it was just like, oh, this is cool, this is great. And then like 3 weeks later, we got an update. And it was like, oh, huge. And now they're being so proactive with OpenClaw because OpenAI owns it, that they are just updating the security metrics every single day as it's like an actual platform now.
Hmm.
So the security metrics, I feel like, will always go down. I don't quote me on my words, but I feel like it's been getting more secure as I look at the change logs in the updates. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're scared to start with OpenClaw and you're like, you hear all the horror stories and you hear all of these bad things about it, then start with Manus. Start with a cloud-based system. See, the capabilities, and then I look at OpenClaw as like a unrestricted, just open source, like anyone has access to it, and it's like
Hmm.
just like the most powerful thing right now that you can do within your own data and like AI capabilities. Like the stuff
Yeah.
that people have built with OpenClaw has been, I mean, it would have taken years for a developer to build, and we're able to do that within 5 minutes.
There's some crazy stuff out there. Um, do you want to like walk through maybe something that's cool that you do with your business with it? I know we kind of were talking about that. Then I was like, oh, let's take a step back here and actually kind of get
Yeah,
into what we're
yeah.
talking about.
Um, I mean, like some quick things that help me within my business is like knowing, especially as the founder and the operator that's kind of like delegating and talking to the clients, is um, it helps keep all of your projects on like a streamline where like think of all of your projects right here like lined up where they all might be like at separate stages. It keeps all of your projects streamlined,
Hmm.
perfect, knowing where they are at on certain things, so there is no stress. The reason why people stress as business owners and as like there's two things. It's either where your system's at and you're so like dialed with your systems that you just have a lot of leads coming through and you can't handle and keep up and churn out the product, which is a good problem to have. Two
Hmm.
is you just don't know you don't know where people are at within your system because you don't have a thorough system, so you get really stressed out where everyone is at. OpenClaw has mitigated and fixed that issue of like, okay, this client's here, this, where it's like, hey, here's all my clients, here's everything that's in the pipeline, here's next steps for each client, here's where we need to move forward, and here's maybe here's how we can upsell them with a potential service. And then all the way leading to a Google review at the end, like after that system. So it helps that sense of like not dropping stuff to the cracks, if that makes sense. For me and my business. Now, I've seen other business owners that I'm talking to right now where, I mean, Sam, you met Ben. He's an HVAC owner, and he is OpenClaw. He's building a dispatch app for his company. Like, I think that's so cool. Like, what is a HVAC owner with, blue collar doing with OpenClaw? But I mean, if he can utilize it, imagine what you could do with it.
Exactly. It's incredible. And I really like what you touched on earlier, just the sense that, OpenClaw might not be for every single business. You might recommend Claude Cowork, you might recommend Manus to someone. I think when John and I like go into businesses, we take that approach. Like, okay, what operation are we going to streamline here? What's your current stack look like? What's your workflow look like? John, do you want to kind of touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're working with a construction company right now of like what that audit phase looks like. So it's meeting with the owner and him breaking down the entire business. He's like, all right, then we have to talk to these three people. And then you sit down and talk to these three people. And then you find out that it's more so workflows that you're attacking, not a whole person. So looking at what those workflows are and then setting up and recommending that specific workflow based off of the system that makes sense for it. And yeah, Devin, you said it great. It's not just a one size fits all. Here's your OpenClaw, here's your Mac
No.
Mini, run with it, have fun.
Yeah, you have to configure it. Like a lot of the things that I've been doing is like I with the automation side and setting that up for for people and being AI forward and setting up AI automations and agents for other businesses is like when I'm asking these discovery calls, I'm really dialing at like what's your SOP look like? Like what do you have everything documented? Like if you have everything documented on all your procedures on how you do something, that's money. That's gold. But then if you don't, we run into a bigger issue. That's more of an internal issue that you guys have to fix. Of no, we really don't have our SOPs, fixed and dialed. And then that's something where it's like, hey, because I want to work with you, I want to fix this problem first with you guys of dialing down your SOPs so that when we do move it over to agents and AI, that it's going to be able to get the job done A to Z. Because here's the thing. A lot of problems, especially as an employee, treat it like you're hiring an employee. If I tell you, hey, here's an SOP and it doesn't have step 7 to 10, most of the time they're going to guesstimate to try to get to 10 because those 7 to 10 aren't on there. And then I can't be upset when they didn't get the exact output that I wanted when I didn't give them 7 to 10. So just like an employee would try to guess to get the end result on that work, an AI agent's going to do the same thing. If I don't have steps 7 through 10, I'm just going to try to figure out how to get it done. And it will get it done, just might not get it in the way that you fully wanted it to because you didn't have full context on how to get it done. So that's huge. Yeah, SOPs are huge with businesses, especially like you'll have to go to this person. And then it's like, well, this person is also intertwined with this automation. And it's like, okay, grab that person. And they're like, well, then we have this software that we go and keep track. And it's like, okay, well, now we have to figure out if that, software has API keys attached to it and so forth. And, so it's a big operation, but huge results, huge turnover, especially with the automation right now.
Yeah, I think the SOP shout out there is awesome because when you're taking those SOPs, like correct me if I'm wrong here, like the way these agents and systems read all these files, it's folder based. So you structure it in markdown file where it's like, okay, if you have every single step lined up here, we're not going to miss a beat. We just have to make sure everything's actually aligned, right?
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. Like the biggest thing, like I always like what prompt do I need to give it, or what special tool do I need to use, and really what it comes down to is like just file structure, like just file structure and file workflows. Like how does this system work? If I was to take your business, and like I always ask people when they're like, well, what's an SOP? I'm like, literally, if you owned a business and then you died and you hand off a piece of paper to someone and they were like, hey, you're going to run this business today, that is how dialed it needs to be to where they could run the business. And like once you have that, dude, give it to AI and say, hey, what can we automate here? What
Hmm.
what workflows? I have all my systems dialed. Now how can we automate, right? I
Yeah.
can't have you automate nothing. I can't have you automate a system that's broken. It just won't work. And then
Hmm.
you'll be upset why the output didn't come to where it should be. And it's just like if you spend some time, spend a day or two, we're just focusing on SOPs. Because you might figure out like, dang, I'm doing this the wrong way. Or like you're noticing a couple steps that you could like remove, you
Hmm.
know? So yeah, SOPs are huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that kind of gets into like, you hear people all the time saying like, oh, my all of my Claude credits are getting burned in one day or something, using an OpenClaw or some sort of agentic platform. And it's like, well, are you just telling it to do stuff, or do you have any structure behind anything that you're actually
Yeah.
running with and
Yeah.
operating on? I
Yeah.
think, would you say that's a pretty big, like, okay,
I
if you
think it
don't
is.
have your files in line, your structures in line, like, you're gonna burn a ton of tokens in the beginning, right?
I mean, that's like having an employee like, hey, I'm gonna give you a new task to do, um, and I'm gonna give you like a rule guide to read before you do this task. Every single time I ask you to do a task or a new task, you're gonna read this rule and you're gonna know how to do it. So a lot of people just like will hop in a new session or they'll be like, hey, do this, and they won't say like they won't build a tool MD, which basically is something for the agents to always recall before they give you an output to
Mm-hmm.
go and like this is your rule before you give the output. And then that usually will like change the output like no other because an agent isn't just guessing. Now it has an actual um, point of where it's supposed to go with the agentic, LLM features. You'll get a really good output. I think a lot of people nowadays, especially with the token usage, I think it is a real thing that like token usage is getting really really pricey and it's going very very fast. But you also got to look at like where we're at, like and the capabilities. Like I can see why it's getting super
Mm-hmm.
fast. I think people that want to optimize is like, dude, just build a tool MD file, build like a rule guideline, and have your agent run through this so they stop have to like research all this stuff over and over and over again. When you
Mm-hmm.
just tell it once and then it remembers, you know.
Yeah.
It's so cool to me, especially someone that's been so like driven with AI and automation and just the agentic. And I've probably set up probably 8 different OpenClaw setups for
Oh,
eight
that's
different Macs.
awesome.
I just flew to Atlanta to do 2 OpenClaw setups side by side. Like setting these up, it's really really cool because you're able to see each configuration and how people and their SOPs like formatted. Because I'll only set
Mm-hmm.
up an OpenClaw if you have an SOP.
Yeah.
It streamlines everything. But seeing each one of these like setups and how they're configured are all different based on the person's business, and it's really 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 cool to see like
Mm-hmm.
each one of these AI agents come to life. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, here's like your right hand man, here's your right hand girl to like get whatever you need to done throughout the day.
So are
Oh,
you setting up these systems for other businesses, or are you doing this for friends and just people that you know?
uh a mix of both, probably a little bit more friends than business, but business as well as like I have a separate business. I have two businesses. I have a separate business that's more AI um, integration to AI automation setup wise, that we really don't promote because it's like referral based business there. We
Mhm.
don't really have a problem with pipeline. We just more have a capacity problem with like getting these things out. So the pipeline is like filled right now. Uh, and like I like if you saw my desk, I just have Mac Minis everywhere on my desk right now. Um, so I mean, right now I have like four OpenClaw setups sitting right at my desk, and I'm able to go through each configuration. And you know, some people, this is what sucks about OpenClaw is like it's an open source project, so each one of these platforms have to catch up with like doing their own configuration with it. So
mm-hmm.
Slack, I just had to do an OpenClaw configuration for a property management company, and it was hard, dude. Like the Slack integrations, Slack is the least um forward focused like platform with their tech and everything and their software
Hmm.
with OpenClaw integration. So we had to do a lot of like custom integrations with Slack and having
Yeah.
the OpenClaw. But now that we got it, it's like really, really cool. Like each one of these channels that they have are for certain people that have access to those channels. And like, your financial automation, your cron driver, your tasks, your output gets put in the financial thing, and those three people have access to that chat and can chat with an AI bot about their finances within their business. And it's true, it's real numbers. Hooks up to QuickBooks through an API and client secret. Like it's really really cool. But yeah, it's just really cool, like seeing and operating different open claws because I use it myself. And
Hmm.
me using it, it's almost like I practice what I preach. So I'm not going to give you something that like I don't use myself. If I'm giving you something that I'm not preaching, it's like, what am I doing here?
Hmm. Dude, I mean, I think this just excites me of what the next, 12 to 18 months even looks like in the realm of how people are going to use this inside of their businesses. And I think the conclusion we're kind of coming to right now is, hey, if you have SOPs inside your business and you use a computer, you could probably get something really cool dialed up.
Oh, 100%. I think the biggest thing that I could say is just be curious about it. Be curious with AI. It's like it's not going anywhere. It's actually getting more and more. So like really really be curious with it. If you don't know where to start, like start with chatbots, then go to, Claude. And if you don't know something, like the biggest thing that I tell people, if like they don't know how to use AI, just ask AI how to use AI. Like it's
Hmm.
gonna show you how to use AI properly, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, founders, just be curious. In the beginning, don't rely on AI to like build your business. You gotta put in the work a little bit to grow your business, and then AI's again help you, automate certain things, or not all. Like you don't want to have AI critically think for you. You want it to be like a strategic partner.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I think we'll kind of so wrap up with a couple questions here. Like Devin,
Yeah.
if there was a founder out there listening to this, brand new to entrepreneurship, starting their business up, and they are maybe interested in AI, something like that. Like, what's the one thing that they should go out tomorrow and get ahead on or do?
It has nothing to do with AI.
All
It
right,
will
let's hear it.
later. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with AI. It will later. It's dial your SOPs.
Hmm.
You will be less stressed as a founder. You will be more dialed on where you are needing to manage, because if you're disorganized in your personal life and you're disorganized in business, like it's going to be very hard to like have like it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, like to get the answer of like where's this client at. Oh shoot, if you have like 10 different clients, like at all different stages, all conversations, like SOPs will help you. It will be a guiding light on a piece of paper and say like, okay, this client's they're on step, you know whatever your step is from A to Z or whatever it is, they're on step F. Okay, well I know where they're at, so I don't have to stress about that. Letting them
Yeah.
respond, and that's where we're at. I think that happens a lot because you're so disorganized with like everything that you're trying to do and build, that
Hmm.
SOPs are structured, and they'll change. They'll change in the future because like my system for 10 might not be the system for 30. I might need to change that a little, little change every once in a while. Um,
Hmm.
but that's what I would say is figure out those and then keep it going, keep the structure of your SOP. And then from there, maybe again, why I said later, maybe then once you're at a, good point of delegation, start trying to figure out what AI can help you with your SOP. Like literally put in your SOP into your OpenClaw or your AI, chatbot, whatever, and say like, what parts of my SOP can be automated and streamlined at a pretty good rate to where I don't need to do it anymore. And watch, you'll actually be like, wow, I didn't think of doing that. And then once you buy your time back, that's the important part.
Hmm.
Someone also said this, and Sam, you were there at our in-person event for OpenClaw. Someone said, "Does this make you more busy, or does this free up your time?" And I said, "It depends on what you want to do with the time that you get back."
Hmm.
So knowing that as well when you buy your time back with AI. And that goes across the board with AI, like for starting founders, entrepreneurs, anyone that's in business, personal life, like figure out what you want to do at that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what I would say. SOPs and be
I love
curious.
it. SOPs are king, it sounds like. Well, hey
Yeah.
man, we really appreciate you hopping on the podcast with us today. I think this is very insightful.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, it was an awesome podcast. Love what you guys are doing. Again, I want to see you guys kill it. Just embracing business owners and embracing like entrepreneurs and just seeing them create is it's something like you just gotta appreciate every once in a while. So I love seeing what you guys are building and what you guys are doing over there for your clients.
Dude, and vice versa. We really appreciate that. So where can people find you social media wise?
LinkedIn is where I'm really big at on the entrepreneurial AI space. It's just Devin Erickson, Devin, and then Erickson, and then Instagram is just Devin from Chicago. But I've been utilizing that a little bit less. And then runnamedia.com. That's just our business website where you can find all of our services and goodies in there for you to see and read.
All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you. It's awesome talking to other entrepreneurs that are, around our age. This is fantastic. The whole point of us starting this podcast. So
Yeah.
appreciate
Keep it
you,
going.
man.
Keep it going. I'm like that's what I could say is just keep it going. Never get discouraged because like if you just keep going, it's gonna get big.
Hmm.
It's not a matter of how; it's a matter of when. So
Exactly. All right. That's a wrap for episode 5 of After Hours, the Pelagie podcast. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks, Devin.
see, all
Bye.
right, my man. Yep.
See ya.